Well, hello there. Today we're going to quickly talk about the current and new GeoGuessr Ranked System and quickly reviewing the pros, the cons, what could be better, what may need to change back to the original system, and just give an overall insight to especially the higher ranked players, but I'm sure it can apply to the lower divisions as well. So the first thing I want to talk about is the current just rank system in general, which is summarized on this page, which you can check on the website. And pretty much what's changed is they've decided to introduce divisions, weekly divisions. So you get put in a division that suits your at first your rating. So if you were already champ before this, you'll get put into champ division, and then you just need to play. They've split masters up and all the other divisions except bronze and champion. But I also feel like champion definitely needs to be split. Like if you're gonna split up master, I feel like there's a big range in champion as well. Like 1100 champ against a 1700 champ, there is a difference in consistency. Although there have been some very overpowered champs, but if you get promoted to master and you play against a 1500, I feel like the majority of the time you're going to lose and you can just go back down to your division, which is not ideal. You should be playing against people closer to your rating, and I feel like having two different champion divisions would be the way to go, like a champ 1, a champ 2, so anyone between 1100 to 1400 or 1399, let's say, or 1499 depending on what would be better would be good, and anyone 1400 or 15 or over is in champion 2, and I think that'll be a better solution than just having one champ division on its own. But I don't think that's a major concern for people in the community. But they've introduced this weekly cycle where you get placed to a group, and for champion division, everyone gets put into a group. So you're just in a champions league, which is fair. And all the other divisions you get put up to 30 players, which is also, I guess, fair. But the situation is when you don't play. So you play 0 games at all, it doesn't affect you, which is fine. 2 weeks, it removes your icon according to this in the Decay, but there's no mention of it removing, decaying your rating like it did previously. So some more information about that would be great. Getting back to the point, they've changed the system, so you get put into division, you play against people for the season, for the week, and how many games you win will affect your position, as well as how strongly dominant you performed in those games as well. And I think that's fine. I think it's fine the way they've done the points and stuff. I don't see anything too much wrong with it, There is slight flaws, but it's not the main concern. But the key thing is they mentioned promotion and demotion. So it doesn't matter how high your elo is. If you just play one game or you play a few games and you don't play enough, you can get relegated, and you could be a 16, 1700 and just play only a few games and you get relegated to Master 1. Does that mean you can only play Master 1 players now when you play the system? Let me know in the comments if that's the case. If not, that would be interesting to know. But if that's the case, then obviously that's very, very unfair on anyone in the Master Division. And the great way to resolve this is you need to play a minimum amount of games for you to be counted on the leaderboard for the weekly season. And so if you haven't played like 10, 15 games or something, that you don't get put onto the leaderboard. And I think that's fair. It prevents people getting relegated when they're clearly good enough, and will just cause problems if they get put into a Master Division. Either if they play against Master players or they compete against Master players, they're going to tend to perform better unless they still play champion players, which actually might backfire and may make them struggle more, even though they are significantly better than the rest in their group in their league. So that is a big concern, and that's one problem with promotion demotion. And also, the promotion demotion gives less meaning to your rating, and I feel like your rating is the best way of indicating your current skill. So like anyone that's like 14, not 1300 and above, I feel like okay, they're within that range of the best players. And obviously anyone 17, 1600 are one of the best players in the world. And same you can say with champ, like if you play against like a champion player when you're in higher masters, then you know that player is probably going to be harder to play against than someone who's in the 800s, for example, or in Master 2. So like, I feel like the rating should have more significance. And yes, they talk about the rating, being a better idea of how skillful you are, but what is the point of having that rating if it doesn't mean anything? Like, what is the point of being in a division when it doesn't indicate your all-round skill anyway. And I guess like the other thing as well is the system for every week. You play a week, you play 20 games, and then you get placed to a position. And for champion players, I don't know if it's the same case for masters and below. You can play 20 games, lose one game, and you're going to be like top 20, 30, which is fair. But like, yeah, even if you win it once, you've won it, great. But then it's the same after next week. It's the same next week. It's very repetitive, and it get very boring. And I think like a lot of content creators, including myself, have had to pack it in because it's just not great for content. And we'd rather have like a more of like a story, like a storytelling thing with competitive. Like the old system had more of like 4 weeks or 5 week period. You play games, and after the 5 weeks, you will get an overall position. You'll get a trophy for your profile, and there's more of like a story, a goal to achieve than playing weekly. Like the only thing you can achieve now is win a weekly, or try and finish high in a weekly, or try and get road to rank one. And to be honest, to get to a certain rank nowadays is just so much more difficult because the main issue I have with the current system is the matchmaking, and that's probably the main reason why I've stopped playing, alongside not enjoying it as much, which I think is partly down to this. So one thing it says is it tries to match with people within your division, but this is what I don't like. It says if after a while, if there's no suitable opponents found, the search is expanded to neighbouring divisions. So that means if you're a champ, you'll get put into the search lobby for Master 1s, and if you're a Master 1, you'll be put into the search lobby of Master 2s and Champs, for example. And then it says as well, if that doesn't help, then it'll expand even more. So you could be a champ and play against a Master 2, or you could be like a Master 2 and play against a Gold, which is a big skill rate. That's a big skill difference. I mean, Master 2 champ is generally a big gap, especially if you're playing any champ who's 1300 or more. There's a big skill difference, and I'm sure a lot of masters can relate to that. And do you think that is fair? And would you rather wait until you got a suitable opponent than to wait for a little bit and get someone who's clearly not near your skill level and you're not going to get much elo from? Because a lot of players care more about their rating than how they perform in the leagues, and I think that's the same case now. Even with the champion players, your rating means more than your actual position in the weeklies, because the weeklies changes each week. It's not as meaningful. There's no show of consistency with it. It's just that one week. If you've had a great week and you've won all your games, then yeah, it shows. But other than that, it doesn't really show your consistency, and there's no sense of achievement with it. So, in my opinion, that is, it's not really. And I'm sure other people can agree. People might disagree with me. This is just my take on things. But yeah, that's a bit of a problem in my opinion. And honestly, I like the old system much more. Yes, there were flaws. I think the main flaw for the old system was there was too many games within the season and the matchmaking wasn't great. But if anything, the new system's made the matchmaking worse. And also, I want to know what it means by after a while. Does that mean a minute? Does that mean 2 minutes? What does that mean? I would rather have it be more specific so I understand how long it will take until it switches. But honestly, I don't see the point of making you play Masters 2. Like, what is the point of that as a champion player? You will, 99% of the game time going to win, and you're going to gain probably like 1-0 elo from it. And if you just have like an off round in the multis, or a very hard round in the multis, and they're closer than you lose 30 elo. And if you keep having that system where you get put against Master 1s and Master 2s, which has been happening, like I've been noticing, I've been playing way too many people in the 1000s, 1100s, the 900s, especially since playing this new system. It's far more hard to regain that elo, and I don't know if that's intentional, but I'd rather play against people close to my skill level and lose more elo. Like, it would be more fluctuation. You could play at 10 games in a row against 1100s or 1000s and gain like, I don't know, like, let's say you gain like 25 elo. You play one game extra against like a 1000 and you have an off game and you just make a mistake at the wrong time, you lose 30 elo. So out of those 10 games, you've gone backwards, which is ridiculous. Like, yes, if you're a 1700, you need to be more consistent, you need to win more games, but the point is, like, you should be playing against people where it's more fluctuation, because if you're near a closer rank, if you lose a fair bit, but you don't lose an extreme amount. And if you win a fair bit, but not an extreme amount. So like, there's a balance there, and there's more of like a competition. and I feel like the points given out is more fair and just rather than just throwing against someone who's 600 elo difference. Like, for example, if you put a bronze and a gold together, the gold should absolutely destroy the bronze, and I would say the same case for Master 2 and a high rated champ. They should never be ever facing each other. It's such a big difference in skill level, it shouldn't happen. Yes, GeoGuessr has strange moments because it's everyone's prone to mistakes. Like you can be the best player in the world and make one mistake, and someone makes a good guess and you lose. It doesn't matter how good you are, that happens. Um, and to have a closer range of who you're playing and just scrapping this weight thing, this weight change, like don't put yourself in other lobbies with people who are clearly not near your range. Like, what is the competitiveness of that? And if you lose, it removes all your hard work of having to play these people, and then you just lose one game. And it's like, what's the point? And it's not great. And I feel like just if you can't find a suitable opponent, maybe give a warning to the people who are searching, saying no suitable opponent has been found yet. If you click this button, you can leave the lobby, and you won't be put against anyone. That would be a good warning to make sure people don't leave as it just finds somebody. And second of all, give them the message so they can decide whether to wait longer to eventually find someone close, towards their skill level, like close to their skill level, like a champ places a champ within like a 200 range. That'll be a better solution. So you make them decide whether they want to wait or leave the lobby so they don't either get put against those people or they can wait for longer until they get someone of their similar skill level. That'll be a better solution to prevent those situations from happening as often. But I think a better solution is a rating range. Like, I think like a 200 elo rating range is great. Or maybe if you're in higher champ divisions, like anything from 1400 to 1800, they can play each other. I think that's fair. Or 1500 to 1800, like that's fine. But in my opinion, you should be playing against 1100s if you're a 1500. That's too much of a gap, in my opinion. And yes, it's good for the 1100s to gain quicker, but let's be honest, they should be playing people who are at more similar to skill level and need to play games consistently against those people to go up and catch up to them. Then once they get into that 250 range, that's when they can start gaining more elo. It's like a 400, 500 range is too much of a gap, in my opinion. And that is even in the champion division, which is why there should be two divisions. So yeah, I would say they're the things that most concern me. And if I had to say which one's the better system, the old or the new system, I have to say the old system. I think there was more long-term gain from it. I feel like there was more of a sense of achievement when you played the seasonal stuff, and the ratings meant more. And the idea of divisions, the actual icon you get, doesn't really reflect your skill. It reflects how you've done in this new system. Like, you could be a 1600, get relegated for not playing enough games, and it will say Master 1 1600. Like, people are going to look at their rating more than the actual badge. And I think that's a key point to make with this system. I hope it gets polished. I hope it changes and improves for the better. And yeah, I think the main key things is the matchmaking. Just don't if it's taken a while, don't just change the search engine to find people out of a different division. Make them decide whether they want to continue to search for people at a similar skill level or to leave the search room. Because the last thing people want is to leave the search room and then get somebody the moment they leave. So that's one way to prevent that. And then once the matchmaking is better, then it will make the actual leagues feel better because you're actually playing against people close to your skill level, so you can actually get a better reflection of how people are performing against people who are close to skill level. Because somebody could get 1,000 masters or 20 games and they're blessed. They can win all the games or win the majority of the games and they finish higher than somebody who's got like 6, 7 games where they've had a 14, 1500. Like, you see what I mean? Like, it can easily be flawed, and to have that better system, or to have like an elo range, like a 250 elo range of who you can get, will reflect more of your skill. And the splitting champion into two divisions, I think, is a good solution to it. And yeah, another thing to add is the map choice, I guess. The maps I'm very happy with. I still don't understand the use of world and for silver and bronze, but they brand new to the game. Like I say, I think they just need to play and just show basic skills, which is fair enough. Um, And yeah, I'm not too fussed about the divisions. Maybe gold having an NPZ, I don't mind that, but it's not that much of a big deal. But one thing I have an issue of is having a single map for each mode. I think it is better to show more of a range of skill from like having like a random generator where you have like a handful of picked maps. So let's say moving, you've got community world. How about have an official world and have a tweaked world? All those three maps are suitable for moving, and they have different type of rounds, and it should show more diversity with your skill with more than one competitive map. And I think that'll be good, and to let the person know once they start, or the people know, oh, this map is community world, oh, this map is tweaked, oh, this map is official world. Like that's a great way to start it, and people can play on that map and know what map they're playing as well. And for like no move and NPC, there's so many other maps you can include. Like you can include community again, you can include AI Gen, you can include arbitrary, you can include arbitrary rural, you can include more urban, you can include more rural maps, and vary the range of maps because there are certain players that are much stronger at maps like Improved World and Community World than they are on more rural maps like arbitrary rural, or and stuff like that. I think like having the system like that would be a great addition to the competitive scene of competitive ranked. It will show diversity and consistency within a range of competitively suitable maps, which have been consistently been used for Twitch tournaments, which I'm aware that the GeoGuessr developers have been keeping an eye on, and I think that would be a good thing to think about for the future and to prove that. And I also noticed as well that you can. I mean, I'm not going to start the week, but pretty much there was a system now where you can play 20 NPZ if you wanted to for the week, which I think is good. But what is the point of an overall rating if you're just going to cherry pick what mode you're strongest at, or what mode you will win more of against other people? Like, if you've got an overall rank, it should take all things into account, and it should be your moving, it should be your non-moving and NPZ. Like, I don't understand the cherry pick aspect. Yes, I am totally fine with it if there was an either if each mode had like a rating for you. So like you have a rating for moving, you have a rating for no moving, you have a rating for NPZ. That'd be a great addition and will make that not as a much of a valid claim. But for a competitive season, I think that cherry picking what you're best at is not a good reflection on your overall skill. And I think when you're playing this, and like I say, this system's probably going to become more important for people being able to qualify for the next World Cup, for example, you need to take all things into account. And I think some people might disagree with this, but I think each mode should have some validity. Like, for example, like you're moving, your no move, and NPZ. So, like, moving, no move probably will give you the same, your NPZ might be slightly less. But, like, an overall average between those three, so like your rating is the average between the three, and then you have individual ratings for the three, would be a great data set for the developers to assess people more for the next World Cup, for example. And it's a good reflection on you and how you perform in those modes. Like, yes, you can look at your percentage stats and that can tell you roughly, but it really depends on who you get. Whereas a rating, you got a clear rating, and if you play enough, your rating will not be as influenced with your off games, or you might lose games against really good opponents. That doesn't affect your elo that much. Like, I think that's a great addition, and yes, I think that's good. It'd be good to show people's skills in individual modes, but for a competitive season or a competitive week, people should have to play all the three modes, in my opinion, because it should be your overall skill. It shouldn't just be your skill for one mode. And I'm a strong no moving and strong NPZ player. I'm not good at moving, but I still think there's a valid point of showing all three aspects when you're playing in a competitive season, especially if this will be considered for future World Cup qualification. So I hope this video makes sense. I hope like my opinion and what I've like broken down with this is relatable. And if you disagree with anything I said, that's totally fine. If you want to add anything more that could be better for future seasons, comment down below. Like, I'm happy to discuss about this, but to cut it short, the new system I think needs a lot of improvement. Like I said, there's not many creators playing in this or remaking videos as much. Like, for example, like Jake, myself are not really doing it anymore, and I'm sure other people aren't either. And think about like how much that's had an impact compared to the previous system. and maybe either revert back to it in some way, or fix the problems that have been addressed in this video, and maybe have some nice additions that have been suggested from here, because that would be great. And like I say, if you want this to spread, feel free to share this with your friends, any other players, and maybe the developers might see this video and see what's good, what could be better from like a player's perspective. And thank you all for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Yeah, of course.